Good morning, class. Today we are starting a unit on poetry, and I think we're going to have some fun with it. Poetry can be a lot of fun to read because it uses a lot of imagery to get the point across. Like stories and plays, poems communicate ideas and feelings, but poems have several features that are a lot different than most stories and plays. Poems are usually arranged in lines, and those groups of lines are called stanzas. Now, that's a word you're going to need to know later on. A stanza is a lot like a paragraph, and we know a paragraph is normally 3 to 5 sentences. A stanza is like a paragraph and focuses on a particular idea, scene, or event. Poems have rhythm, just like when you listen to music on YouTube or TikTok or whatever it is. You like the songs that have the nice rhythms. Well, poems have rhythms. And those rhythms are kind of like I said, like a music-like quality. Many poems rhyme. Some don't, and I personally don't like the ones that don't rhyme, but you might. They don't have to rhyme, and when they don't rhyme, those are called free verse. But when they do rhyme, obviously you know that means they repeat sounds at the ends of the words, like feet and seat. In addition, poems use very vivid figurative language to create powerful images and feelings. This is what I mean by that. You know, figurative language means something like onomatopoeia. That's a word you've never heard before. Can you say that? Onomatopoeia. It means you are replacing or you're using a word so that it sounds like what's happening. So for instance, we've talked about this when we did our hooks for writing. You might start with BAM. B-A-M. The door closed so quickly, the wind just took it away. Bam is the noise that the door made when it slammed shut. That's just an example for you. Well, there's a couple other words that you're going to need to know, and we will talk about those as we go on through our poetry unit. One thing that you need to keep in mind, and we've talked about this before, literal versus non-literal. And we know if something is literal, then it's real, it's really happening. But if it's not literal, then it's not happening, it's not real, it's used to explain something. So if I say she runs as fast as lightning, she really can't outrun lightning, right? It's just using non-literal words to explain that. So today, I'm going to read a poem to you, and then I've attached in a different link this same poem. It's written out. And I want you to reread the poem, and then I want you to complete the Google form that I have listed out there and submit that to me. It's not a hard one. We're going to start real nice and slow. But I'm going to read this poem called My Shadow by Robert Louis Stevenson. So you can kind of get a feel for the rhythm and how poems have a kind of sing-songy way that we say them. That, to me, is what makes them more fun. So I'm going to read this poem again, and then you will pull it up on the link below this one so you have it in front of you for when you answer the questions on your Google Doc. Okay? My Shadow by Robert Louis Stevenson. I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me, and what can be the use of him is more than I can see. He is very, very like me, from the heels up to the head, and I see him jump before me when I jump into my bed. The funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow, not at all like proper children, which is always very slow. For he sometimes shoots up taller like an India rubber ball, and he sometimes gets so little that there's none of him at all. So again, what are we talking about in this poem? We're talking about your shadow, right? And when you read this, and as you listen to me read it, do you notice if it rhymes or does it not rhyme? Just some things for you to think about. Does it use literal language or does it use non-literal language? Let's look at a couple and see if we can figure that out. The funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow. Not at all like proper children, which is always very slow. So it's saying that your shadow can grow really fast, which, is that literal or is that non-literal? Well, they're not being literal in that sense. And sometimes he gets so little that there's none of him at all. Well, what happens? Your shadow just disappears? So again, they're using this non-literal language to explain your shadow. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. I hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you again for math. Take care. Read your poem, do your Google form, and then submit it, okay? You're doing a great job. I know these are very strange times, but you're doing a great job. See you soon. Bye.